brings a new light on the dangers of the drug epidemic. ELCAT brings you exclusive interviews with the professionals on what you need to know.
Plus, ELCAT covers the latest Charter Commission public hearing. The highlights coming up.
Also, selecting to meet with department heads to review the upcoming fiscal year budgets.
And later, we get you ready for brand new events at the East Longmeadow Public Library.
Those stories and much more ahead on ELCAT News Update. Good evening, I'm Rebecca Green.
And I'm Jake Brady.
We begin tonight on a serious note.
Recent residential break-ins in East Longmeadow led police to arrest 2 suspects last week. Alexander Langford of Melwood Ave in East Longmeadow and Brittany Manning of Springfield are each charged with breaking and entering with intent to commit a felony, larceny from a building, malicious destruction, 2 counts of possession of drugs, and more.
The break-ins occurred here in town on Melwood Ave, Main Street, and Clearside Drive. East Longmeadow Police Sergeant Dennis Sheehan fills us in on the details.
Recently, we arrested 2 people who were involved in a string of house breaks. They broke into 3 different residences in town, and we were able to tie them to those house breaks through a database we use with the pawn shops, and we were able to recover quite a bit of stolen property. As a result of that, we were able to charge these people, both a male and a female, with the 3 house breaks, with quite a number of charges. We arrested the female on warrants, and during her booking, she was found to be in possession of heroin. Both of these people are heroin addicts, which is a huge problem for us and society nowadays.
Due to the crime involving drugs, it's necessary to identify the problem and generate awareness about the drug epidemic.
There is a huge crisis with heroin right now. I call it the scourge of our youth. It's mostly affecting people between the ages of about 18 and 35. If you read the obituaries on any given day and you see that somebody between that age either died at home or died suddenly, it's almost a safe bet that that's a heroin death. In the last about 4 years, we've had actually 10 heroin deaths in town, people within that age range. We've had a couple people in that age range die outside of town related to heroin. It's a terrible epidemic right now, and I don't know what is going to stop it. What happens is people may have a legitimate injury. They get a prescription from the doctor for Oxycontin. Those prescriptions run out. They try to buy those on the street, and they're very expensive. And they switch to heroin. And heroin is very cheap now. A bag of heroin is $5. But most of the people who are addicted develop dependency on the drug. And as I transport people to court, I usually discuss their addiction with them. And I've had people tell me that they're using 2 bundles, which is 20 bags of heroin a day, and even more than that. And so if you do the math, people are needing to come up with $150 to $300 a day in one day to support their heroin habits.
At this point, drug addictions can happen to anyone in any community. ELCAT sits down with Diana Gomes, school counselor at Birchland Park Middle School, for more information.
Even though we are experiencing a heroin epidemic, that addiction itself has been around for many, many years. I think it's very easy for us to, sometimes judge or even question or say, how could someone continue to do something over and over again, knowing what the negative consequences are and knowing how their life is uncontrollable and unmanageable, and they're still continuing to do it. And that's the reason, because it's a disease. It's not that easily controlled. If it was, we wouldn't have so many people who are struggling.
According to Gomes, communication is a key factor for prevention. She shares what signs people should look out for, along with helpful information for parents.
We encourage parents to always keep the lines of communication open, no matter how difficult it is, to continue asking questions, and not just yes or no questions about, did you have a good day, yes or no, but more about what happened today? Tell me how your day went, so that they actually have to communicate in more than just a yes or no answer. So in middle school, it's more about the communication and asking about the feelings, looking for changes in behavior. And then in high school, I mean, it gets a little bit more different. But in high school can really be like also a change in who they're hanging out with, a change in what their interests are, what their hobbies are, kind of wanting to spend more time alone, not being interested in the things that they were interested in, maybe like sports, and getting in trouble, even, you know, things that are not like them to do. And then it gets into more serious things when things could start to be missing from the house if you're giving them an allowance and it seems like you don't know what they're doing with their money and they're constantly asking for more, or you suspect that things are being stolen. So really being, you know, vigilant of what's happening in your home and also communicating with your child is going to be really important at that time. But definitely the major signs overall would be changes in behavior and mood, and a drop in grades and a change in friends.
Gomes will continue to educate the community and use her resources to prevent students and community members from drugs and substance abuse.
One of the things that we're hoping to do here in East Longmeadow as well, that the Youth Safety Committee has been working on, is to be able to have speakers that come into schools during the school day for students to be able to hear their personal stories about how drugs and alcohol have affected their lives. Our goal is to have something for students in schools as well as the community, and have those, you know, evening events for parents in the community, but also be able to do something for students during the school day.
Gomes, along with the East Longmeadow Youth Safety Committee, have successfully implemented 2 drug awareness nights. You can find both programs on our ELCAT YouTube page at ELCAT 01028.
Gomes does not stop there. Another event is in the works.
Currently, the Youth Safety Committee is looking to do a film screening of the documentary, The Anonymous People. It's a very groundbreaking documentary all about substance abuse and addiction and really the stigma that comes with it. We have a tentative date as of right now of February 24th at 6 o'clock at the East Longmeadow High School. So we will definitely be confirming that soon, and we will be sending out information to the community and to the schools and parents. This film really helps us to get a perspective in the life of someone with an addiction, what it's like for them. And the people in this documentary are people from, you know, all areas of life, and they really let us know that it can happen to anyone.
We'll keep you updated for when the official date is announced.
Police Chief Doug Mellis also addressed the dangers of addiction at the latest Board of Selectmen meeting. In order for the police department to get a hold on the drug problem, they have to plan their budget accordingly in order to pay the officers overtime when needed.
Let's face it, we have a heroin problem. There's no sticking your head in the sand on that. We've become involved with the schools and the community, doing programs, and it's now to take in effect of what happened this last weekend with this Hollywood heroin. They went out and they made, I think, 5 arrests. They confiscated some heroin. That's just, at times it seems like it's the finger in the dam, and then it's going to break over here or it's going to break over there. It's out there, it's a scourge, it's something that I feel bad for those that are addicted, but we'll spend time, we'll put effort into investigations, and sometimes they pan out, nothing happens. Sometimes they fall in place. I know our officers have been involved in taking guns off the street in the city of Springfield. So it's out there. There's a viable, we have a terrific working relationship with the state police and our surrounding communities. And overtime is always going to be an issue.
At that Board of Selectmen meeting, department heads presented their budget proposal for the board to review for the 2017 fiscal year. The police department's budget caused board members to disagree.
I'd like to propose a motion to accept the budget for the police department. Okay. As I've said, I proposed the motion for the budget that I'm fine with, so if someone wants something else, then they gotta propose a motion. So if not, we just don't have a police budget.
Interim Town Administrator Greg Neffinger offered one solution in order for the board to proceed with the police department's budget proposal.
You can word it such as, I propose a motion to accept the budget with a certain cuts from a certain line item. If you can get a second on that and a vote, then that would move forward.
But if I'm not necessarily in favor of the cuts, then why would I propose that? To move it forward?
To move it forward,
All right.
right.
I'd like to propose a motion to move forward the police department budget with any cuts suggested by the board.
I think we can cut this overtime, because I think it's ludicrous, $377,000 for a small town like this. I think we could probably cut that by $150,000.
And how do you see us cutting it $177,000?
Well,
I go back to the statement that I made to appropriations a year or two ago,
Yep.
that in 1979, we had 29 police officers, and we had a population of 11,000 people. Today, we have close to 16, if not more, thousand people, and I have 26 police officers.
Well, I looked into, say, a place like West Springfield, that probably spent $150,000 to $170,000 and have twice as many people as we do.
And they have twice as many officers, too.
Huh?
They have an excess of 70 officers, don't they?
I think
What's
it's 65 that they have there.
But they're
yeah.
budgeted, aren't they, for 70?
They could have changed it recently, yeah.
Yeah, that's because I was talking to Greg about that, and in order to compare overtime, you have to compare number of officers for the population too, because the more officers you have, the less overtime you're gonna have, because you're gonna have more people, on the working 8 to 5, or whatever the hours are, so, thank you.
So can I ask the board for some direction, please? What do you want me to cut? I know you said overtime, but where? You want overtime, I pay for training. Do you want me not to train my officers? We're generally under a mandate by the state that they receive 40 hours plus firearms training every year.
Overtime is a bit much, and I understand the reason, but it's just, that's a big amount.
How do we fix it then? Do you have an idea?
I know, I don't get, I mean, it's been that figure every year, right, wrong, or indifferent, so.
Let's throw
it's-
snowstorm in there now.
Yep,
All right, then what do we do?
so I can't see saying it's a bit much if it's something that's an ongoing thing. I mean, it might be able to be corrected, but it's
Just because there's a problem, and it's been a problem for years, doesn't mean that you don't try to fix it.
Yeah, exactly.
We've tried to
You
fix
know,
it. We've taken steps to try to fix it.
But it's not working right now, and we need to really get a handle on that. That's just my feeling. If we have to, since we were going through the budgets, it seems like we've passed it, we've reached an impasse. We'll just have to either go to the appropriations meeting and possibly have a joint meeting and then approve it, then maybe we'll have some answers then. But as of right now, we don't have any, and you have a schedule to keep, so,
but.
as you
Can
said.
I ask, when we have this,
Well, can
through the chair?
No, I was saying, I'll probably ask the same question.
But can I ask through the chair, last year I went to a supplemental hearing, Mr. Gorman was present, you were not. I did a presentation, and it was never turned back in to appropriations, and they were supportive of it. So when we go to this appropriations meeting and hearing, will you all be present? And will my department have the support of the Board of Selectmen? That's what I'd like an answer to.
Well, what I'm trying to decide is we've got two people who are opposed to two different things in the budget, but nobody's making an alternative suggestion, so.
Well, because, Paul, I looked into these other towns, and I'm gonna tell you again, the other towns, like Greenfield, have more people than us, more officers, and the population's a little bit bigger, and they're 150,000. We're 377,000
Yeah.
for a town of East Long Meadow that's got,
So, okay,
And we're
so-
equal to them.
so what's-
All I can say to you is, how are they doing it?
I don't know, what's the age of their police
Well,
force?
maybe
What if
you
they-
being
what if
the,
they-
maybe you
wait,
being the chairman, you should look into
no,
it.
maybe maybe their police force has been on longer, they haven't replaced police officers, they haven't had to have training, they haven't
We
had to
can
have
we
overtime.
can maybe ourselves to death, but I
That's
think
true.
it should be looked into and see how they're doing it.
Well, it seems like
Because if
you
we
already
can
did.
save the taxpayers some money in paying, I mean, 377,000 from 150, that's a lot of money.
I guess we're at a standstill, so we will proceed with appropriations.
The police department undergoes many unpredictable instances which affects their budget planning.
Overtimes have been an issue for the last 11 years. When I was hired, that was one of the issues. And it continues to be an issue. That's life, I'm sorry. I don't have, I wish I had a crystal ball and I could tell you that I will go a year with no injuries to the members of my department. I don't have that ability. It happens. Who expected an officer to get hit by a drunk driver and be out for a matter of months? Fortunate to be alive and functioning today. It happens. And that's the big unknown that we face in public safety. Paul can go to a fire tonight and 2 firefighters could be killed responding to the fire in their personal cars because they're not a 24/7 operation. My officers hit car accidents all the time because they're out there patrolling all types of weather. So,
The department budgets will then be reviewed by the Appropriations Committee. We'll keep you posted.
Another meeting and another budget. The latest Board of Public Works meeting talks about stormwater cleanup and how that particular process plays a role in their budget.
You may have heard some discussion in communities where they start talking about the idea of creating a stormwater utility, where they recognize that there's going to be a significant cost to managing your stormwater, just as there is a cost to managing your drinking water and managing your wastewater. One of the selling points of why would you create a stormwater utility, why is it different than just getting increasing a tax bill or something like that, is one, again, you can focus on some of the entities that don't pay tax bills. The other thing is you can really focus more on who generates the stormwater.
Where does stormwater, is that a whole nother
It's just in our
network, or is that the same pipes?
Oh, no, it's a whole nother.
A whole completely
no.
different system.
It's which is in the streets.
Yeah,
It's all the catch basins, they're all on the streets.
so the current
That-
cost of
that water-
maintaining that,
The water goes someplace.
It's in the highway budget now.
it's in the highway.
Right.
Right.
All
So,
right, all
but
right.
I mean, we're gonna incur a lot more
More
costs
specific costs, yeah.
to, I mean, cleaning the catch basins, all the catch basins. I mean, what did you say? We have 200?
About 2,000 catch basins.
2,000 catch basins.
300 outfalls, or 300 pipes that discharge stormwater somewhere.
So it's probably, much like the enterprise funds, it's just another form of accounting. It's a little bit more transparent to see where the money's going.
And it could be perceived to be a fairer, more equitable way of accounting. Some communities, that's appealing to, other communities don't see it interested.
But I think it would be a little bit more transparent.
Right.
You know, this is where the money's going, why is it? I mean, 2,000 catch basins that we're gonna have to get up to date.
In order to implement the program, planning is required.
You have to develop something called the Stormwater Management Plan, which is basically the roadmap that you define and you commit to in writing to EPA and says, this is what we're going to do. And then every year you have to self-report on, we said we were going to do this, and we did it, or we didn't do it. And that's the strategy, really, is to try to meet the requirements, but to do it as cost effectively as we can.
Also discussed at the meeting a new safety feature for those driving in East Longmeadow.
Some good news, we had talked a couple of times about trying to change the configuration of our traffic signals when we have a signal that goes into a failure mode. Currently, most of our signals don't flash red all 4 directions. What they do is they go to yellow flash in one quarter and a red flash in another quarter. That's definitely appropriate for North Main Street, for instance, where the primary direction of traffic flow is down along North Main Street and the secondary traffic flow is on the side streets. But it's not necessarily appropriate for some of our intersections where we have 4-way stop signs that we put down, for instance, during a traffic signal problem. So I have been able to secure a firm that is capable and willing to do the changes. In fact, they're going to be out next week, and they're going to be looking at every one of the intersections except for the North Main Street intersections. in making that change. So if we have a failure, if we have any equipment problems, we'll go to a four-way flash as opposed to a two-way red and a two-way yellow.
The Charter Commission held its third public hearing Thursday night.
The commission outlined its final charter that will restructure town government.
Good evening. I am Dawn Starks, Chair of the East Long Meadow Charter Commission. Tonight, we start with a comprehensive overview of the research conducted in preparation of writing the charter, and then a thorough review in layman's terms, article by article, of the draft charter. We've concluded that the major issues that needed to be addressed structurally in the proposed charter are decentralized government. Many boards have equal power. A lack of a clear chain of command. Who is in charge? Lack of communication and cooperation between boards and departments. Lack of timely decision-making. This slows down the business of the town. A lack of authority and accountability. And the lack of consistent policies between departments.
After the PowerPoint presentation, the Commission invited audience members to ask questions.
The Charter Commission will continue to meet and educate the public about the proposed charter and why they believe it will be in the best interest of the town.
Now moving on to library learning.
Where we let you know what events are coming up next at the EL Public Library.
Next weekend, get ready for a brand new event, a free jewelry making class for adults and teens. Supplies are limited and registration is required. Sign up at the circulation desk to reserve a spot. The event takes place Saturday, January 16th at 1 p.m. in the library community room.
Also happening at the library, the AM Book Group.
The group will meet on the third Tuesday of every month. This is your time to join in if you're looking for a good read.
January 19th at 10 a.m. marks the date where the group will kick off the new year with a new book. Get ready for an adventure story, The Dog Stars by Peter Heller. New members are always welcome, so head over to the library and pick up your copy today.
We saved the best event for last.
The adult coloring group, known as Outside the Lines, has become so popular that the library needed to open up more sessions.
Go experience the fun January 20th. There will be a morning session at 11 a.m. and an evening session at 6 p.m. The event is free to the public. No registration is required. We'll end tonight with a few public service announcements.
First, nomination papers are available for the April 2016 local town election. All nomination papers are available at the town clerk's office and need to be returned with the required 50 signatures of registered voters by January 26. For more information, stop in at the town hall.
Next, open burning season starts January 15th until May 1st.
What this means is that if you're interested in cleaning up tree limbs, brush, and other remnants of winter storms, open burning can be your solution.
However, in order to do so, you must purchase the $5 permit. Permit purchases can be made starting the week of January 15th at the East Longmeadow Fire Department. Hours of operation are Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Well, that will do it for us tonight on this edition of ELCAT News Update.
Be sure to watch meetings on demand at our ELCAT YouTube channel, ELCAT 01028.
Follow us on Facebook and watch us on cable channel 191. I'm Rebecca Green.
And I'm Jake Brady. Until next time, good night.